Free college football picks. This is week 7. It's part 6. I'm Tony here with our college football pick show here for Saturday. Well, we got the 8 remaining games. That takes us to 51 that we've covered for you this week. And they're all for Saturday, obviously. Before we get to them, just a couple things. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Free college football picks are updated all season long. Free picks every day from all the major sports. We also have NFL. We also have MLB and more. It's a good time to subscribe. And also, if you would support our channel, hit the thumbs up. We greatly appreciate it. Then visit Tony'sPicks.com, our multi-capper site, showcase our top cappers in our industry. Click the links to the hot cappers, get signed up to a long-term pass. You'll see some of our hot cappers like Tiffany and Ramon have been hot. We'll take a look here at college football. We have some really good performers here as well with Collins. Hollywood Sam has been hot. Mindy. Click the links and get signed up to one of our long-term passes. As you scroll to the side here, you'll find our premium picks in the center of the page. Our best bets. Each capper can post one best bet per sport per day. You'll see multiple ones up there. Well, plenty for college football. $15 premium pick. Well, each capper can designate one of their premium picks as a $15 pick. And of course, our 3-packs, which are great value there as well up on our site. You can find our premium picks at the top, as well as our drop-down menu here for the free picks. And our promo code, you can save 20% off all premium pick packages. When you use that promo code TonyT at checkout, you can access our page by clicking the link in the description. Click the All Cappers tab. They can sign up. Also, love to hear from you guys. Post your picks in the comments below. We are also looking for cappers, so you can apply at Tony'sPicks.com footer section. And of course, our podcast, Tony's Pick Podcast, all the picks there. Every pick in podcast form over at Tony's Picks, available now on all major platforms. All right, let's go ahead. Let's get this one started. Nebraska versus Purdue college football pick for Saturday. Nebraska 3-3 after their 14-13 road win at Rutgers. It was a season-low 304 yards of offense for the Cornhuskers, who had to rally from a 13-0 halftime deficit. Cornhuskers ran for only 72 yards on 29 carries. On defense, they did limit the Scarlet Knights' run game to 115 yards on 38 carries. Casey Thompson completed 67% of his passes, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, and a season-low 6.4 yards per attempt. On the season, Thompson at 65% completions, 8.3 yards per attempt. Purdue, they're 4-2 after their 31-29 road win in their game here. Boilermakers finished against Maryland. It was Boilermakers finished with 373 offensive yards, but only 13 yards rushing on 34 carries. On defense, Purdue did limit the Terrapins' run game and surrendered 315 passing yards on 38 attempts. Boilermakers successfully defended a 2-point conversion with 35 seconds left to preserve the win. Back-to-back road games for Nebraska. Cornhuskers do give up a lot of big plays in the passing game, so the play here will be on Purdue minus 13.5. North Carolina versus Duke college football pick. This one goes off here on Saturday. North Carolina 5-1 after their 27-14 road win at Miami. Tar Heels moved the football for 470 yards. 161 rushing on 43 carries. Defensively, UNC held the Hurricanes to under 2 yards per rush, but allowed 496 passing yards on 57 attempts. Drake May completed 68% of his passes, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, 11 yards per attempt. Now, in his 2 conference games, a 70% completion rate, 10.5 yards per attempt. Duke, they're 4-2 after their 23-20 road overtime defeat at Georgia Tech. A season-low 278 yards for the Blue Devils with 142 rushing on 33 carries. Duke allowed 412 yards, 180 rushing on 37 carries. Now, Riley Leonard, a season-low 47% completions, 3.2 yards per attempt. Back-to-back road games for the Tar Heels. Now, North Carolina on the road giving up 536 yards, 4.7 yards per rush, 71% completion rates for nearly 9 yards per attempt. The play here will be on Duke at +7. New Mexico versus New Mexico State college football pick. This one is on Saturday. New Mexico is 2-4 after their 27-14 home defeat here to Wyoming. Lobos could gain only 319 yards of offense, running for 197 yards on 48 carries. They did limit the Cowboys to 314 yards with only 130 rushing on 39 carries. A -3 turnover margin for UNM. Miles Kendrick, 65% completion rate in defeat with a pick and 6.3 yards per attempt. The Kansas transfer this season, 57% completion rate, 3 touchdowns, 6 picks for 6.2 yards per attempt. New Mexico State 1-5 after their 21-7 home loss to FIU. Aggies produced just 221 yards offensively against a down Golden Panthers team. They ran for only 82 yards on 31 carries. Now on defense, New Mexico State allowed 344 yards to FIU with 162 rushing on 45 carries. Diego Pavia, 57% completions in the loss with 6.1 yards per attempt. Season low here. For the season here, Pavia, 40% completions, no touchdowns, 4 picks with 4.1 yards per attempt. It's really tough to back the Aggies, when you lose at home to FIU and then against a rebuilding Nevada team by double digits. Aggies giving up 4.6 yards per rush this season. The Lobos like to pound the rock. The play here will be New Mexico at -6.5. USC versus Utah college football pick. This one goes off here on Saturday. USC moved to 6-0 after their 30-14 home win to Washington State. Trojans gained at 369 yards with 181 rushing on 40 carries in that one. They limited the Cougars' passing game to and allowed 144 rushing yards on 29 carries. Caleb Williams, season lows here. 52% completions, 6.5 yards per attempt. On the season, though, Williams, 65% completions, 14 touchdowns, a pick, and 8.5 yards per attempt. Now, Utah, they fell to 4-2 after a 42-32 road defeat at UCLA. Utes offense moved the football for 479 yards with 192 on the ground on 43 carries. But it was a defense that was torched here. They gave 502 yards with over 5 yards to carry on the ground, plus 299 passing on 23 attempts. Cameron Rising, 72% completions with a season-high 297 yards, but no touchdowns. He did have a pick, and he averaged 9 yards per attempt. Now, in the season, Rising, a career-high 59% completions, 8.4 yards per attempt. Now, the Trojans' offensive performance at Oregon State is a huge concern here. Utes' home stadium really tough on visitors, and the team responds well at home. The player will be Utah at -3.5. Washington State versus Oregon State college football pick Saturday. Washington State fell to 4-2 after their 30-14 road defeat at USC. Cougars on the road against another low offensive output. 316 yards, 144 rushing on 29 carries. Defensively, Washington State allowed 181 yards rushing on 40 attempts. Cameron Ward, season lows here, 59% completions, 5.4 yards per attempt. And that was now Ward here against the conference is completing 69% of his passes, 7.4 yards per attempt. Oregon State, they're 4-2 after a 28-27 road win at Stanford. Miracle 56-yard touchdown pass with 13 seconds remaining for the game winner, as Stanford really botched their double coverage. Beavers ran for 192 yards on 40 carries. On defense, they limited the Cardinal on the ground but allowed 269 passing yards on 34 attempts. Bennett Gulbranson, a strong performance here, 71% completion rates, 8.9 yards per attempt, and 2 touchdowns. Season 1, Gulbranson, 66% completions, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, and 9 yards per attempt. Now, in the Cougars' 2 road games, they've averaged only 284 yards. Gulbranson has been an improvement over Chance Nolan, the quarterback. To play here, Oregon State -3.5. Air Force versus UNLV college football pick. This one goes off here on Saturday. Air Force fell to 4-2 after their 34-27 road defeat at Utah State. Falcons rushed for 264 yards on 55 carries. Defensively, they did allow 414 yards to the Aggies with 19 rushing on 38 carries. Zeke Daniels completed just 42% of his passes here, a touchdown pick, and 7.9 yards per attempt. On the season, Daniels here, a career low, 47% completion rate, 10 yards per attempt. UNLV, they dropped to 4-2 after a 40-7 road defeat at San Jose State. A season low, 213 yards here for the in this one here for the Rebels as they were down 33-zip here late in the third quarter. Rebels' ground game here pretty much was grounded, 52 yards on 27 carries. On defense, UNLV allowed 433 yards to the Spartans with 203 rushing on 36 carries. Quarterback Doug Brumfield is questionable and was knocked out early in the loss at San Jose State. Sophomore quarterback Cameron Friel in relief, 68% completion, 7 yards per attempt. UNLV quarterback issues and they just couldn't stop the Spartans' run game last week. The play here will be Air Force and UNLV to go under 50. San Jose State versus Fresno State college football pick. This one goes off on Saturday. San Jose State 4-1 after their 40-7 home win to UNLV. Spartans moved the football for 433 yards in the win with 203 rushing on 36 carries. Strong defensive performance here for San Jose State, who held the Rebels to 213 yards with 52 rushing on 37 carries. They did knock out the UNLV starting quarterback early in the game. Hawaii transfer quarterback Chevan Cordero, a season-high 67% completions, 2 touchdowns, 8.5 yards per attempt. On the season, Cordero, 58% completions for 8.1 yards per attempt. Fresno State falls to 1-4 after their 40-20 road defeat at Boise State. And again, another poor offensive showing for the Bulldogs, producing just 233 yards, 99 rushing on 35 carries. Defensively, Fresno State allowed Boise State to run for 316 yards on 52 carries. Logan Fife forced into action his starting quarterback Jake Hayner still out. Fife completed 56% of his passes in the loss with 2 interceptions, only 5.4 yards per attempt. On the season, Fife, though, 69% completion rate, 4 touchdowns, 7.3 yards per attempt. Now, Fife now home after back-to-back road games. On the road, the Spartans are giving up 176 yards rushing, 5.1 yards per carry. Bulldogs have run well at home, nearly 5 yards a carry. The play here, Fresno State plus 8.5. Nevada versus Hawaii college football pick. This one goes off here on Saturday. Nevada moved to 2-4 after their 17-14 home defeat to Colorado State. Wolfpack a season high against an FBS team this year with 358 yards. On defense, they did allow 177 rushing yards on 33 carries, but shut down the passing game with 78 yards on 22 attempts. Nate Cox, just 47% completions, high volume passing performance, just 5.8 yards per attempt. On the season, Cox, 54% completions, 6.1 yards per attempt. Now, Hawaii, they dropped to 1-5 after a 16-14 road defeat at San Diego State. Rainbows moved the football for 312 yards. They did limit the Aztecs' run game to 95 yards on 35 carries. Hawaii did surrender 322 passing yards on 36 attempts. Now, Braden Shager, 59% completions in the loss with a touchdown and 5.8 yards per attempt. On the season, Shager, 58% completions, 6 yards per attempt. Now, Hawaii defense getting a little pressure on the quarterback, and they're giving up 6.3 yards per rush. The play here will be Nevada minus the 6.5. That was our college football pick show, guys. Make sure you like, subscribe, set notifications, and visit our site, TonySpeaks.com, for our best bets, our premium picks on the site for today. A lot more picks coming. Don't forget to check out our podcast, guys. All our picks in podcast form at Tony Speaks Podcast, available on all major platforms. I'm Tony T. Back later with more picks.